welcome to the Scale Modelling Cafe, and welcome to another Sprue Tour. And the subject of this Sprue Tour is this little beauty, Tamiya's ME109G6. Now it says BF109 on here, and I don't want to go down that particular rabbit hole. I believe it should be ME109 from the F onwards, certainly from the sort of mid-war Fs onwards. However, I digress. Tamiya, I haven't built a Tamiya kit in a very long time. I think even the last Tamiya kit I built may well be their 0 in 72nd scale. And that's beautiful. It just falls together. I remember when I first got that kit and I put the fuselage halves together, the seam all but disappeared on the dry fit. It was phenomenal. So that bodes well for this thing. I suppose the one downside with Tamiya compared to Eduard, for example, for me, and it's a personal thing, is a lack of riveting. This airframe, as we'll see in a minute, is not riveted. We could go down that big rabbit hole of scale effect and is it realistic and blah 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 blah. I'm not going to address that now. Maybe on a separate video I will. Suffice to say that I am a massive fan of riveted models, and when not there, they get added. This, when I do build it, and I am going to build it soon, this is going to have rivets applied to it. Now I'm just going to open the box here because I'm going to show you how I'm going to do those, if I can find it. In all the aftermarket, I've got loads of it. It's this HGW. These are positive rivets. They call them the wet decals. So the idea is you apply the decal probably onto a primed surface. That's what I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to prime the model, polish it, and then apply these decals, and then you peel off the carrier film, leaving the rivets behind, and then you paint your camouflage, and then what you can do is very gently polish the paint to reveal the rivets. I'm going to try it on this model. I've not used this system before, and I'm actually really looking forward to doing it. But anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, that's about the only downside for this. Yeah, the decals. We'll have a chat about the decals maybe at the end. Right, enough waffling. Let's nip over to the bench and see what's in the box. Okay, so over at the bench, and here are the instructions. Pretty standard from Tamiya, if I'm honest. They are fold out. Obviously, we start with the cockpit. I say obviously because pretty much every single kit starts in the cockpit. And it's fairly well detailed, as you can see here, with lots of sort of different parts. But it is quite simple. Decal for the instrument panel, so you may wish to go down the aftermarket route there. We'll have a look at the decals in a moment. And then this whole sort of firewall bulkhead thing, which holds the instrument panel, just plugs into the front of the sort of cockpit tub. A few bits and pieces for the sidewalls, and pretty quickly the fuselage halves go together. So in fact, you could even build this first before going down the cockpit. Very detailed painting instructions down here, which is good, and you could go and add some wiring if you want. I probably will actually go down that route. The bumps and the side cowls go on, and the top cowl goes on. This is quite ingenious actually, and being Tamiya, no doubt it's going to fit very well. The supercharger intake, or carb intake, down here on the left, is in two parts. What I recommend you do is add too much glue and splurge it out to end up with a seam, because there was a weld seam down there. If your OCD won't allow that, you can always add it from Sprue afterwards. Moving along with the radiator and exhausts, and then the cockpit and the exhausts go in, and the radiator cowling goes on from underneath. Tail wheel goes on, and then this is what I quite like about Tamiya, is they can be a little bit innovative. So one piece tailplane and elevators, be a simple job just to slice through to pose them if you wanted to, and likewise the fin and the rudder. And this is good because it allows Tamiya later on down the line, who knows if and when, to do the tall tail. Telling you there just to paint the wheel wells, and then it's the wings. So I'd probably end up doing this first actually, just to allow maximum drying time for the seams. Radiators with the flaps. Now, as you can see, one piece flaps and upper flap here. Maybe you could score these and drop them. Maybe, who knows. Separate rear decking, again, alluding to more versions, maybe possibly in the future, but you know, to me they're not very forthcoming with their different options. But if you look here, there is a bit of gouge telling you exactly how to fit it. So you put the rear in first, and then just click the top in. Undercarriage, and this is a bit of a standout here, where this sort of extended mounting lug sets the angle of the undercarriage, the splay and the forward rake, and I really like that idea. And Eduard have got their own sort of version of this. I nearly said copied, but I'm going to roll back from that. I don't think they have copied it. Inspired, maybe. Certainly not copied. And it sets the angle really nicely, really firmly. I'm a huge fan of that. Then we have the, as you can see, the undercarriage legs go down, and then you have to put this top piece on over the top, which means you're going to have to paint this separately and the undercarriage legs separately, and then add this after the painting, which may be a bit fraught. However, being Tamiya, I'm sure it fits absolutely perfectly. Two-piece drop tank going on, and then these things, which I always manage to lose. So Roy Sutherland of Barracuda Details, Barracuda Cast, has a replacement set for them in really hard resin, which is really good because the mounting lugs are always absolutely tiny and frankly inadequate. And then we're finishing off here with mounting the canopy, prop, and the last few details. That's going to be nice and sturdy, but it might be a bit thick, the old DF loop. So you may wish to cut that off and replace it with a bit of metal or something like that. Likewise the pitot, actually. Nice positive locating area under the wing there, but I'll probably go down the aftermarket route. And the open canopy is absolutely ingenious. No longer do we have a butt joint, which is absolutely fraught. Nice positive locating hinges there that slot into holes. I'm a massive fan of that. Markings in black and white. There's only two markings. It is 72nd after all. We have the one with the eye here, which is in Bulgaria. Very eye-catching and lovely box art actually. And then a JG54, but on the western front. There's quite a famous scheme this, with the blue band and the green heart. You actually see that one a lot. So that's the instructions. A quick tool through there. Some innovative features, and it's Tamiya, so it's going to go together really very, very nicely. Just put those to one side, and onto the plastic. This is all you get. Here's the clear parts. I can get those out, and some polycaps there. All you get is that. So effectively, one and a little bit of grey sprues and the clear parts. Let's have a look at this in detail. Right, the first thing you'll notice is the panel lines are incredibly fine and incredibly crisp. You've got the traditional sort of big rivets underneath on the wing. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. See if I can get that in the light. But that's it. No riveting at all on this. It's very crisp, it's very clean. Now, I normally would add these rivets with a riveting wheel. However, when I do this project, I'm going to try the HGW system and the positive rivets. Give that a go, see how that works out. But everything is moulded really nice and crisp. The undercarriage legs are incredibly fine. And as you can see there, there's that sort of clunky thing, which is brilliant. The mountain lugs, which is fantastic. The wheels are really nice. If I can go in on there, on the wheels, they're really nice. Hollow sort of spinner hole there. Onto the upper wings, you can see some sort of flow marks in the plastic, but you won't see those when you come to paint. But that's incredibly fine detail. There's actually quite deep scoring on the flap, so I'm wondering whether that would be relatively straightforward to drop those. I probably won't do that on mine, if I'm perfectly honest. If we flip it round the other way, you can see there the detail on the cockpit, which is really nice. The integral rudder pedals there, which again is a nice touch. You could replace those with some photo etch if you want. Inside the cockpit here, really nice crisp detail. Little bit of evidence of the fuel pipe. I'd probably carve that out and just replace that with some wire. And look at this mould release grease here. Ugh. That's the worst I've ever seen it. Let's get rid of that. Right, this is definitely going to have a bath. There we go. In fact, actually, disregard, I think that's actually black super glue. And I've gone and put this on my little palette, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. But there we go. Thank goodness, no harm done. So apologies to Tamiya. That's not mould release agent. That's entirely my fault. But there we go. Quite a simple sprue. Might make sure I don't put that down in the glue again. Right, this small sprue here with the famous bump for the machine guns. I've got a feeling I've got MG151 in my head. I might be wrong there. Really nice. Moulded in gun barrels, which are obviously solid, so you could drill them out or you could try and sand those away and replace them with brass. I'm probably going to leave them actually. It is tiny. What I probably will do though, I'll probably have a go at drilling them out, and I'll probably have a go at drilling out the little cal scoops as well. All adds to the finesse. Clear parts, as you'd expect from Tamiya, are absolutely exquisite. Really very, very clear, very, very shiny. Yeah, there is some relief on there, so relatively easy to mask, especially the main centre section. Just cut some squares and whack it in. But obviously I've gone out and I've turned to the aftermarket. So absolutely lovely clear parts. Right, over to the decals. I've just got the box here. Here's all the gouge on the 109G-6 actually in a separate booklet, which is, I should have started with this, shouldn't I? But some nice photographs, something with nomenclature it says, so telling you exactly what everything's called. Good for the beginner. Obviously in Japanese as well. Yep, that's a nice little touch. Right, where are they? The decals? Here they are, down here. Right, so Tamiya decals, dare I say, sorry, that's my phone, dare I say a little bit controversial, but that's because people don't really know how to use them. The trick with these decals is people think they're really thick. They're not. What you do need to do though is soak them in really, really, really hot water. That softens them such that they will suck right down into the panel details, and I and many of my friends have used them with great success. But really nice decals there. I'm going to go down the mask route, I suspect. But if you are to use these decals, then yeah, I think they'll be absolutely fine. The printing on them is absolutely beautiful, especially down on the eyes here. Phenomenal. There we go, the decals. Right, that's it for the box contents. Let's just pop over to the, I'll just put all this away. Pop over to the chair and we'll have a bit of a wash up. Okay, that is Tamiya's 1/72nd scale ME109G6. Typical Tamiya, I'd say. Not the most detailed kit out there, but adequately detailed. What's there is quite nice. For me, as I said in the intro, the big thing is the lack of rivets on the airframe. Therefore, you've got to add them yourselves if you want to. There is that debate to be had. Should you put rivets? Is it scale effect? Is it accurate? Blah. There's so many other things that is not accurate for scale effect. Things like thickness of canopies, thickness of gear doors, gun barrels, you name it. You could keep going on and on and on. Even the size of the cockpit, because obviously the cockpit in a model kit is actually under scale because it's got to fit in the overly thick plastic sidewalls. I mean, if you scaled up, even if it's 1mm thick plastic, that's 7mm thick. For example, fuselage cockpit sides, which is obviously way over scale. So there are some compromises when it comes to a model. And for me, modelling is all about it's artistry. It's trying to fool the eye to make the brain think that it's what you're looking at is a full-size object, or at least a miniature version of a full-size object. And frankly, any model without rivets, in my opinion, just look a little bit bland without them. That's why I add them. It's a bit of artistic license, but it's all part of that, as I said, trying to fool the eye to make the eye think what you're looking at is actually the real thing. Anyway, that's that. That's the only downside I can see from this kit. Other than that, I'm sure it's going to build absolutely beautifully, and I'll find out when I do build it, which will be soon. I want to get this done before Eduard release theirs. And it'll be interesting to have a comparison side by side at the end. There we are. Right, that is the Tamiya 1/72nd scale ME109G6. And I'll see you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks, bye-bye.